it's sort of worst case scenario in the sense that now that we've realized that this is a player who's not going to be available, the pool of players below them is actually really, really shallow. And like we've talked about that in different kinds of positions and with different kinds of players, but for some reason it just felt like Ellie Carpenter was invincible and that this was never something we would ever have to think about, you know? Like I can't think of, outside of maybe 2 or 3 players who are at the kind of level who in the next 12 months can potentially become an Ellie Carpenter replacement if she's not available. But at the moment, it's like emergency sort of stations, I think, for the Matildas coaching staff and for Football Australia trying to figure out what to do here, because they haven't used their time wisely in retrospect. They haven't been giving serious match minutes to Carpenter type players who can play in that role in case this did happen. And now that it has, I'm sure they're probably looking back going, oh.
Well, exactly. Well, at least now Charlie Grant is playing in Sweden. She wasn't last year. Carly Rosback was getting minutes in Norway. She had such an awful injury. And I think she is right-sided, Sam, but we've had to add a necessity either as a backup for Catley. But, you know, Rosback, as you say, has barely played. Like, she was very much out of favour. I think it underlines things we've been talking about for ages, not just in terms of Carpenter, but with Steph Catley as well, right? Saying, why isn't an Angie Beard in squads more consistently? I think it underlines that we need to see all these players used. We can't just look at narrowing the focus. It's something the US women's national team do quite well, is keeping players in and around the fold. Because if you're the US, you know, for example, here you can call, and I know she's been in camps recently, it's like a Sophia Huerta, right? So, you know, like we need players who can step in. And I was writing about it yesterday. I said that Carpenter is effectively an irreplaceable player because of her quality and, you know, her experience, her durability, all these things. But the most obvious like for like is Charlie Grant, and Carly Rosback and can play right back. The only other player I think who has played right back is Chloe Lagazzo, who is also out injured. And, you know, she's very much a pinch hitter in that role. In terms of looking at these friendlies, as you say, Sam, it's going to be pretty tough going up against some of these Spanish attackers without Ellie Carpenter. But geez, we got to test out players sooner rather than later, right? You know, the other player who got used as a defender was Betty Goad in those games against Germany and the Netherlands, who we haven't really seen since. I would like to see her in the upcoming squad against Spain, given she's been playing in Spain for the past however long.
Here's a wild potential spanner in the works. Another player who we know has played right back against some of the best players in the world is Caitlin Ford. And I know that she hasn't.
Sam, no.
The whole chat just like, no. But like,
I knew where you were going, and I wished you wouldn't.